Good morning students. Today we are going to study chemistry for class 6. Today we will be starting a new chapter, that is chapter number 2, elements and compounds, and this is first video for the chapter 2. Okay. Before starting elements and compounds, we should understand what matter is. Matter is everything that we see around, even something that we don't see also. The whole universe is made up of matter. So the definition of matter is anything that occupies space and has got some mass. Matter is anything that occupies space and has some mass. Some examples like the toothpaste that you use, the clothes that you wear, the food that you take in, the processed food like pizzas, burger, then cold drinks or canned food that you take in, the glass of water, the water inside it, everything is matter. Even the air that you feel, and air you see, we cannot see that air, isn't it? But still it is matter because it occupies space and has got some mass. Alright. Now this matter, it can be classified broadly into two categories, pure substances and impure substances. When we hear about pure, literally it means something that is free from contamination, or it's something in which no adulterant is added. Okay, but when we see that adulteration for one substance, a substance can be adulterant, but it may not be an adulterant for the other. Like if we see lassi, do you know? It is a drink made from curd. In that, sugar is an adulterant, but the other case you see a salty substance like a pizza. In that, if you put sugar, that is an adulterant, isn't it? That means that definition is very confusing. That it is one substance is adulterant for one, and for the other one it is not there. So scientists, they gave a more clear definition to pure substances. They said a substance is called pure if it consists of only one kind of particles. A substance is called pure if it consists of only one kind of particles, and the one that consists of more than one kind of particle is called impure substances. Understood? Then pure substances, it was further divided into two, elements and compounds, and impure substances, it consists of mixtures. Now let us see something about elements and compounds. Both these will be made up of only one kind of particles, but elements, they are made up of only one kind of atoms. Pay careful attention to this one. Elements are made up of only one kind of atoms, and compounds are made up of more than one kind of atoms. Okay. Now we will continue with the topic. Just now I told you that pure substances, they can be divided into elements and compounds, and we are going to see elements in detail. Elements are made up of one kind of atoms. Now what atoms are? Atom is the smallest unit of matter. It is the indivisible particle. Okay. And atom, we can say it is the building block of matter. All the matter is made up of atoms. Just like our body is made up of cells, you have studied in biology. So all the matter is made up of very small microscopic particles called atoms. Then each type of element has special properties and is different from all other types of elements. If we take one element, it will have its own special properties, and that properties will be completely different from the other element. Let us take one example of gold. Gold, you see, it is golden in color. It has got a beautiful shine, very shiny, lustrous metal it is. And on the other, you see coal. That is black in color, and also it burns to give so much amount of heat and energy. But if you burn gold, will you get that heat and energy? No. So we see the properties are completely different. Understood? An element cannot be broken down into simpler substances by any physical or chemical means. That means if we take an element and we break it, then a point will be reached where it cannot be broken down anymore by any physical change or by any chemical means. Let us take the example of this marker only. Suppose if this marker is made up of iron, then this will be an iron rod. If I break it, then it will be broken into two pieces. Again, if I break it, I will get two more pieces, again and again and again. If I continue the same thing, I will reach a stage where it will become the smallest particle possible, and that cannot be further divided. Let us see that diagrammatically. Suppose if this is the bar of iron, then it will be made up of iron atoms. And if I break it, it will be broken down into half. Like this it becomes. On further breaking, it becomes even smaller. Like this. Then you see, this stage we have reached, the atomic stage. We have reached the atomic stage, the atom, it is an atom of iron. Now it cannot be further subdivided. Even if you apply any means, any physical or chemical means you apply on this one, you cannot break this atom. So that's what this point means. An element cannot be broken down into simpler substances by any physical or chemical means. At this point, this atom, instead of calling this atom, we can also call this as element. Why? Because whatever properties were shown by this bar of iron, the same properties will be shown by this atom of iron also. Did you understand? Let us see once again. The properties like, iron, it can be attracted by a magnet. Isn't it? If we take a magnet, iron will be attracted to it. This one atom also will be attracted by magnet. So we see it is going to show all the properties of the element. So at the atomic stage, at this stage, this atom means that term we can exchange it for element also. Now I hope you understood that you cannot divide this atom. That means you cannot divide this element by any physical or chemical means. Alright. Then may exist in atomic form or molecular form. In the first point I told you about atoms, that they are very tiny indivisible particles, and in most of the cases the atoms do not exist independently. They combine to form molecules. Okay, so now you understand. Elements may be in the atomic form or maybe in the molecular form, like the case of helium. Helium is a noble gas, that means its atoms can exist freely. They need not combine to form molecules. So you see I have drawn atomic stage is drawn here. That means all these five I have drawn, all these are atoms of helium only. So it is an element of, helium is an element, isn't it? Then what, if you see in this diagram, I have drawn two atoms. They are combined. Actually this is the case with oxygen. Oxygen exists in the form of O2 molecule. Okay, oxygen exists in the form of O2 molecule where two atoms combine to form O2. But then you will say, is it an element? Is it a pure substance? Yes, of course. It is a pure substance. In the pure substance, it is included in elements. Why? Because the both these O2 molecule, it is made by combining two oxygen atoms. Nothing else is there. Only oxygen atoms combines to form its molecule. So we can call it an element. See, it agrees with the definition. The definition says the element should consist of only one kind of atoms. So it is one kind, isn't it? O2 consists of only oxygen atoms. So we see that elements may exist in the atomic form or they may exist in the molecular form. The only condition is that molecule should consist of same kind of atoms. Okay. Then the next one. Total 118 elements have been discovered so far, and out of these 92 are natural elements. Total till now what we have discovered are 118 elements, and in that 92 are natural, that means the remaining are artificial. Elements can be further classified into 4 categories: metals, non-metals, metalloids and noble gases. Now we will be seeing metals in detail. They are usually hard. Actually, when we think about metals, that point automatically comes to us. We think that copper is a metal, magnesium is a metal, zinc is a metal, iron is a metal. So all these are hard substances, but it is written usually hard. That means there are some soft metals also, like sodium and potassium. They are that soft that you can cut them with the help of a knife, and they'll be broken into 2 pieces. In fact, there is a metal that is liquid at the room temperature, and that you know what is it? Yes, it is mercury. So we can say usually all the metals are hard. Second one, they have characteristic shine called luster. All the metals, they are very shiny, and that shine is called luster. Okay. Then metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. That means they allow heat and electricity to pass through them. That is why all the wires are made up of metals only. In fact, the cooking utensils, they are also made up of metals, because in that heat is to be transferred. In the wire, what is transmitted? Electricity is transmitted. So metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Then they have high melting and boiling point. I hope you know what melting and boiling point is. Melting point is the temperature at which solid is converted to liquid, and boiling point is the temperature at which liquid is converted to gas. Metals have both high melting as well as high boiling point. Okay, let us see few examples. Gold, silver, aluminium, copper, sodium, potassium, zinc, magnesium and calcium. Now we'll see the properties of non-metals. They are either soft solids or gases. In soft solids, phosphorus is there, iodine is there, and in gases, chlorine, oxygen, fluorine, all these are in the form of gases. But one non-metal is there in the form of a liquid at the room temperature, that is bromine. And do you remember that metal that is in liquid form? That is mercury. And the non-metal in the liquid state is bromine. Okay. Then they do not possess shine or luster. They are dull looking. They do not have that shine or luster. Bad conductors of heat and electricity. Bad conductors means they won't allow heat and electricity to pass through them. That means they cannot be used for wiring purpose or for cooking. They cannot be used because they are bad conductors. Then they can be used for insulating substances. Okay. Then they have low melting and boiling points. Some examples we can see. Sulfur, phosphorus, iodine, bromine and chlorine. Now the third one is metalloids. Metalloids have intermediate properties between those of metals and non-metals. That means they are neither like metals nor like non-metals. They have few properties of metals and few of non-metals. So they are given the name metalloids. We'll see the examples. Silicon, germanium, arsenic and antimony. Okay. And the last one, the fourth in the element part is noble gases. Noble gases are also known as inert gases. From their name itself we can understand that they are very noble or inert people. That means they do not react chemically. They don't want to react with any other element to form anything. They are stable alone in the atomic form. Okay. And the examples are helium, neon, argon, krypton,